so now we're going to take absolute value, solve for absolute value when there's an inequality involved. The steps to solving are very, very similar, but because of those inequalities, some of the rules change a little bit, right? So, we have more steps than just what we had before. I know. Step 1 is to get the absolute value by itself. So that's still our first step. Okay, so step 1 is to get absolute value by itself. Okay, step 2, we need to set the inside of the absolute value equal to the positive and negative of the other side, just like we did before. So after we get absolute value by itself, we're going to set it equal to the positive whatever and the negative whatever. Okay? But we have special rules because of the signs. So I need everybody to pay attention really quick. If the sign is less than or equal to, you need to write the word "and" between the two inequalities. And actually, I'm going to change this, write it in all capital letters. Okay? How I remember that? Less than has almost the entire word "and" in it, right? So less than is "and." Got it? Okay. If the sign is greater than or equal to, you're going to write the word "or." And if we think about it, greater, right? Greater, the word "or" is in there. Okay? So less than and greater or. Got it? Okay. The reason being is because if we were to graph the our answers, and I'll graph one of them for you just so that you can see what happens, it changes kind of how our answer can be written. Okay? So we're going to, after we write our two separate inequalities with our word in the middle, we're going to solve for the variable in both inequalities. So we're going to get two inequalities just like we get two equations. But we have a special case, so I want you just to put a star next to step 5 because you only do step 5 sometimes. If the word was "and," so you only do step 5 if the word is "and," you are going to combine the inequalities and write it as what is called a compound inequality. Okay, it's called a compound inequality. It means that we put two inequalities together. You can only do that for step 5 because your word is "and." So because the word is "and," it means we can have both answers, which means we can put them together. Okay? I know this is a lot of information. We're going to do it together. I promise. That's why I put so many examples, so we can get lots of practice. Okay? So we're going to start with something really simple. Example 1. Absolute value of W is less than 2. First question, is my absolute value by itself? Yes, so I can go straight to solving, right? So I'm going to take the inside and set it equal to the positive and negative. So when I set it equal to, I have absolute value W is less than 2. Less than, and, what is it? And, oh, one step I forgot. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. Included in step 3, guys, where it talks about the signs, write the word between the two inequalities, and, or no, write it in step 2. When we set it equal to the positive and negative, so in parentheses, just write for negative, we have to flip this sign. Right? Because anytime we take the opposite of in inequalities, we have to flip the sign. So that's what we're doing here too. Okay? I can't believe I forgot to write that in there. Okay? So remember, whenever we take the opposite of what's actually there, you flip the sign. Okay? Okay, so it's going to be W is less than 2 and W is greater than negative 2. Okay, so because I changed the sign of my original, hold on. Because I changed the sign of my original number, I had to flip the sign, or the inequality. Okay. Am I solved for W in both of these? Yes, so this is my answer. But because the word is and, I can write them together. Okay, so how would I write this? We're going to put W in the middle. Now W is less than 2, right? So the alligator is going to be eating 2. But W is also greater than negative 2. So which one is the alligator going to be eating? W or negative 2? W. So greater than negative 2. So we would read this as negative 2 is less than W, which is less than positive 2. And that's your answer. You only combine them when the word is and.
Does it have to be the way you combine them? Or?
Yeah, you always put, and one easy way to figure it out is notice how the symbol is pointing towards W for negative 2, or for positive 2. And so see how when I just look at it this way, it's W and it's pointing towards positive 2, right? And then for this one, the alligator is eating W, so we just write it as eating W there. It should always come out this way. The smaller number should always be first, and the letter should be in the middle. Okay, why is it like this? I'm going to draw a number line. Yeah, write it down. I'm going to put it off in the margin here. So with my number line, let's put 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Okay. Do you guys remember how to graph absolute values? Inequalities? Sorry. Okay, let's work with W is less than 2 first. Okay, I'm going to do it in pencil first because we're going to do some erasing in a second. W less than 2. Open dot or closed dot? Open dot at positive 2, right? Is it going to the left or to the right? If it's less than 2. To the left. Okay, so it's going to be pointing towards the left. Okay, so what about for this second part? W greater than -2. Open or closed dot? Open at -2, right?
Going right.
And is it going to the left or the right?
Right.
To the right. Okay. Do you see the overlap there?
Yeah.
There's some overlap right here. Okay. Listen to my answer. If W has to be less than 2 and W has to be greater than -2, is it going to be everything, or is it just going to be the overlap? Just the overlap. So we erase the part that's not overlapping, and now I'm going to draw it in pen. And our answer is actually just this part right here, which is why we can combine the inequalities, because it's just that overlapping part. We don't know. I'm not coloring them in. It just kind of looks like it. There should still be open. Okay? So that's why the word is and for less than, and we can combine them when the word is and. Okay? So what do you think when the word is or it would happen? Any ideas?
It would be on the outside, not in the...
If the word was or, I would have one arrow going this way and one arrow going the other way, and they never intersect, right? So, well, they would never intersect. You wouldn't even get the intersection. So my answer would either have to be going this way or it would have to be going that way. That's why we have the word or. It can't be both. It has to be one or the other. Make sense? A little bit? Okay. Let's try one with or. Example 2. Absolute value of n plus 8 is greater than or equal to positive 3. Is my absolute value by itself? Yes. So I can take the inside, n plus 8, and I set it equal to greater than or equal to 3. Great. Or n plus 8 is less than or equal to -3. So I changed the sign of my answer, which means I have to flip the sign, right? The symbol. Why do we flip the symbol? Any ideas? Because when you multiply by a negative, you have to flip it, right? Good. So when we multiply by a negative, you have to flip it. So we change the sign. Okay, so how do I solve this one? Subtract 8 from both sides. So we get n greater than or equal to negative 5. Or subtract 8, n less than or equal to negative 11. That's my answer. That's as far as I can go.
So either way, it has come out as negative?
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay. After you take down the absolute value bars, the symbol, it's okay if you get a negative. It just can't be equal to a negative. But since these are inequalities, it's a little bit different. Okay, so we can't put them together because the word is or. Let me show you why. So let's draw a number line, and we have to fit some more numbers in here. So I'm going to start with, how about negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, 6, 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11 barely fit. Okay. I want to graph n greater than or equal to negative 5 first. First of all, is that an open dot or a closed? Closed at negative 5, right? Greater than or equal to, so is it going to the right or to the left? It's going to the right, so let's draw that. Okay, what about n less than or equal to negative 11? Open or closed dot? Closed at negative 11. And is this one going to the right or the left? Less than, so it's going to the left. Will they ever intersect? No. So can I ever have both of these as my answer? No, it can only be one or the other, right? Which is why your word is or, which is why we can't put them together. Okay? Alright guys, example 3. Is absolute value by itself? Yes, it is. So we can take the bars down, right, and just put 2y minus 3 less than or equal to 7 and or less than and 2y minus 3, I have to flip it, right? So greater than or equal to negative 7. So with inequalities, you have to remember to flip the symbol and change the sign. Okay? So that's two things you have to remember to do. Yeah. And because I made it negative, I have to flip the symbol, right? Okay. How do I solve here? Add 3. So 3 to both sides. So 2y is less than or equal to 10. And 2y is greater than or equal to negative 4. Still not done, right? What else do I have to do? Divide by 2. Okay. Okay, so we get y less than or equal to 5 and y greater than or equal to negative 2. Am I done? No, I can put them together, right? Y always goes in the middle. Okay. So we have this set up like that, right? We know it's going to look like that. Always. It's always going to look like this because y is bigger than something and y is less than something. So it's always going to look like this. Which one is y bigger than? Y greater than negative 2? So negative 2 is less than y. And
5 is more than y.
So that's my answer. 7 minus the absolute value of 2x plus 1 greater than or equal to 2. What do I do first? Subtract 7. Good. Yeah, 7's on the outside right here. We're doing example 7. So that's going to give me, let's rewrite it all first. Negative absolute value 2x plus 1 greater than or equal to negative 5. We just subtracted. It's only changes when you multiply or add. Okay, now what do I do? Julia? We have to divide by -1 because this is the same as multiply -1, right? So divide both sides by -1. Now, Ellen, what am I going to do? Flip it. So this is absolute value of 2x plus 1. We divided by negative, so it becomes less than or equal to positive 5. This is always like the one thing that you guys forgot when we were doing inequalities. It's very important that you do not forget it with absolute value, because now I have absolute value of 2x plus 1 less than 5. And or. And. We have to go by, even though it started as an or, we have to go by what it is after you get absolute value by itself. Okay? So now we can break this up, right? So this is 2x plus 1 less than or equal to 5, and or. And 2x plus 1 greater than or equal to -5. So it doesn't matter, Abby, what your answer comes out to. It matters that we divided by negative. That's what makes the difference. Okay? Okay, so now what? Okay, so we subtract 1 from both sides, right?
Yes.
So that gives me 2x less than or equal to 4 and 2x greater than or equal to -6. Divide by 2. X less than or equal to 2 and x greater than or equal to -3. Will you combine those? I want to see if you can do it by yourself. How do I combine it? First we write x in the middle. These are equal to, so we set it up this way always. -3 is on the left and 2 is on the right.